I am not a drama channel. If you've been following me for any real length of time, you know that. And as such, this is not a drama video. However, it is a video going over a fairly dramatic subject matter. I'm not here to give an opinion one way or another. I am simply here to go over what has happened, talk about the research I've done regarding the event, and then give my thoughts on what can be learned from the entire experience. If you're interested in finding out what happened before watching the video, there are links in the description to all of the subject matter that I researched before recording this, aside from the things I've been told in confidentiality. Confidence? Confidence. That's the word. This is a serious subject that I think needs to be talked about, and that's why I'm making this video. Howdy, my name is Nonat, and in case you're not aware, Apotheosis Studios is creating a 5e supplement book known as Sirens. It's a campaign all about a city where a bunch of bards start a revolution with their art. Really cool idea. That's not what we're talking about today. Recently, some allegations have come out against the creative directors of Apotheosis Studios, Jamison Stone and Satine Phoenix, and they're not to be taken lightly. There's some serious stuff here, so content warning if you're triggered by gaslighting, verbal abuse, or anything of the sort. The pot got stirred when an individual known as Chad Rowe came out releasing some private messages between himself, Jamison Stone, and Satine Phoenix in regards to a tattoo that he was going to be giving them. I promise this relates to TTRPGs, just stay with me. Chad had recently been making a bit of headway in the TTRPG sphere with his networking and had become decent friends with Jamison and Satine. When it came to the contract regarding the finances for the tattoo work, they asked for the same contract that Chad had given Post Malone, famous rapper. Once again, I promise this relates to tabletop gaming, just stick around. The issue comes up when Jamison asks for the exact same contract that Chad gave Post Malone, and in sending them the exact same contract, Jamison sort of explodes on Chad, claiming that Chad is trying to steal his artwork, steal his characters, and steal all the rights to these things that are currently owned by Jamison. Jamison really hammers the point that Chad is being unprofessional, everything about the contract is unprofessional, and that his lack of professionalism is incredibly disappointing. He claims that Chad described the contract completely incorrectly, and that's why he was so offended by the contract that was sent, even though it's still the same contract that he gave Post Malone. Chad goes on record to state that he doesn't remember really describing the contract in a lot of detail to them when they hung out in person, but decided to go along with it. Throughout this entire exchange, Chad is very much on the defensive, trying to de-escalate things, very much, yes, I'm sorry, let's try to fix this, but Jamison just kind of tries to keep amping up the intensity of the entire situation. The big dispute here comes down to this message by Chad, who assumes they are having a friendly exchange, whereas Jamison is 100% in business mode, with their friendship having absolutely nothing to do with the entire exchange. Jamison goes on to tell him that it's okay because you're young, you're inexperienced, and I am teaching you a valuable lesson. In fact, Chad should be thankful because he's not being punished for his mistake, and he's not being charged for this educational lesson. Satine pipes up in the group chat saying that maybe they should all get together and have a voice chat to hash this out, to which Chad says, yes, let's do it. I'm feeling a little disrespected, but there might just be a lack of communication. So they schedule the meeting time comes around, and Chad says, hey, I'm ready to talk when you are, and Jamison says, check your email, Chad. There are no words which can adequately describe my disappointment. Chad reads the email and emails Jamison back, but happens to send it to Jamison's personal email instead of his business one. Jamison then goes on another 3-paragraph rant telling him how unprofessional this is and that he needs to act more like an adult. He caps this off by saying the only possible way to salvage both their friendship and their business relationship is to write a humble apology letter to both Jamison and Satine, apologizing for all of the things that Chad did wrong. And Chad says, okay, sorry, I'll do that. Thank you. Have a good one. This was all about 2 years ago in 2020, but Chad finally had to come out and talk about these experiences because of what has been going on recently with Apotheosis Studios. Jamison has been treating their employees much like they treated Chad. Chad goes on record saying that Satine and Jamison have been threatening and slandering some of his close friends, and that's why he decided to finally share these private messages. Chad gives a little more context and information regarding his relationship with Jamison and Satine prior to this whole contract incident, and if you want to read more about that, there is a link in the description, but I think we should start getting to how this connects to TTRPGs, and specifically Apotheosis Studios and their Sirens project. At this time, 3 people from the Sirens project have stepped forward regarding these allegations, and those are Jessica Marcrum, Pat Edwards, and Crystal M. Links to their Twitters are in the description. Jessica Marcrum was one of the freelance writers on the Sirens project, and in the project Discord server had been asking a question regarding invoice payment. Jamison jumps in to say, hey, we're gonna pay everyone in bulk, so even if you're already done writing, we're not going to pay you until the last writer is finished writing, probably not until December of 2021. Now this can be tough, because when you sign up as a freelance writer and you give an invoice, you assume you're going to be paid typically no more than 30 days after that invoice, because a lot of freelance writers are working from payment to payment. Especially if this is a full-time gig, that's their paycheck. If they don't get paid, they don't have money to live off of. Especially, like I said, if it's full-time, they don't have a 9-to-5, that is their income. Now, the Sirens project specifically had received multiple delays. In fact, the project was supposed to be finished in the summer of 2021, but had been pushed back to December, with the contract stating that they will be paid at the end of the project. It's safe to assume the freelancers wanted to be paid by the end of summer. But unfortunately, this means that the money they signed up for and expected to get in summer, they're actually going to be getting 6 months later than expected. Jessica brings up the contract and mentions that inside of it, it states that the writers will be paid up to 30 days after the completed work, and Jamison slides in with some interesting response. Jamison starts by apologizing that Jessica is disappointed, and then for some reason mentions that she has done 2 things for the project, one that has not gone through final edits and one that has not gone through dev edits. He mentions that until they are completed products that she will not be paid, fine, whatever, and then brings up the actual point in the contract, pointing out exactly why she's wrong and that she does not get her money anytime soon. Turns out the specific wording of the contract is people will be paid up to 30 days after the approval of their work, which, according to Jamison, is the last step of the project. They're going to receive all the writing, they are going to edit all the writing, they are going to approve the edits of that writing, and only after all of that is done for all of the writing are the writers considered approved. As Jamison states in this message from the Discord, they are still editing, and nothing has been approved, meaning nobody has been paid. Once again, Jamison mentions how disappointed he is in these people for accusing him of something, for asking to be paid in a misunderstanding of the contract, but does say that they can PM him with any questions. Then comes the true hero of our story, Rick Hines. Rick Hines has about as much power in the project as Satine and Jamison. Now, the reason Jessica had started asking about the invoicing is because Rick had told her to. Jessica mentions that Rick told her to ask, and Jamison shuts her down by saying, Rick was wrong, that's not your contract. End of story. That's the end of that interaction on Discord, but that's not the end of Jessica's story, because less than 24 hours later, Jessica found herself blacklisted from Apotheosis Studios in a large spreadsheet that every employee can access. So they had put the blacklist for writers we won't hire again publicly on the spreadsheet, where Jessica found her and her colleague's name for everyone to see, blacklisted due to behavior. Hey y'all, so I'm actually in the middle of editing this video right now, and Cage, the other employee for Apotheosis who was blacklisted, just recently shared their version of the screen caps of both the Discord interaction and the blacklisting edit, and there's timestamps. So for context, there is only a 10-minute gap between the end of the Discord conversation and Cage and Jessica being added to the blacklist. To top it all off, they misspelled Jessica's name in the blacklist, so nobody hire Jessica Marcrum. People have gone on record to talk about the less than reputable method of payment that Apotheosis Studios has been engaging in. See, typically when you write for a company, you submit a draft and you are paid per word on that draft. There's a light honor system here. They expect that you won't bloat your word count for no reason, and then they'll pay you per word. And that is how Apotheosis Studios does it at first. However, you agree in your contract that when you send over your draft, they don't pay you right away. Rather, they will personally edit your draft, remove words, change words, and everything, and then pay you per word based on the final cut. And this includes words that have been swapped around. If someone on the editing team changes a but to a however, that counts as removing a word from your payment. According to the writers I've been in contact with, they were not paid until 6 months after their initial draft. And again, paid for far less than they would have been at most other companies because they were only paid for the final edit. Now, the delays are another issue. In fact, I've heard it was incredibly difficult to get in contact with Satine and Jamison to get these edits rolling or even to get started writing in the first place. This is because Satine and Jamison are effectively celebrities in the TTRPG sphere, so they have streams and guest appearances and interviews and everything planned at all times, to the point where they would cancel on their creative meetings with their writers. So because of this, creative meetings were delayed, which means the writing was delayed, which means the project was delayed, which means payment was delayed. But at the end of the day, whose fault is it that the project is getting so delayed? Well, the unskilled freelance writers, of course, because Jamison has had to stay up late every single night rewriting almost everything that the writers give him because it's such low quality, and because he has to one-man army all the edits, it's delaying the entire project. This is what he stated in his Kickstarter update post. Crystal M has gone on record saying they were paid noticeably less than the draft they submitted, and Pat Edwards, who has worked with them in the past, has gone on record to state that, yeah, this was their experience working with Apotheosis before as well. So whatever is happening has been happening. So what happens next? Well, Jamison has issued a long apology on Facebook and Twitter, only apologizing to Chad, only apologizing for the messages that came out from Chad. He talked about some past trauma leading to some issues with controlling his anger. He goes on record to say that he's the one who told Satine to say certain things, which is questionable, but we don't have any proof one way or the other. So right now it's taking a lot of people at face value. The true meaning of everything is going to be what happens in the future. If Apotheosis starts treating their writers better, if Jamison starts treating other people better, then his apology is true. If he keeps doing the same thing of gaslighting and verbally abusing his employees and freelancers, well, then the apology means nothing. It's going to come down to exactly how he handles the future. As of the day of this recording, Jamison has actually been removed from the Sirens project, and someone else will be stepping in as creative director in his stead. He has not been removed from Apotheosis Studios at large, so hopefully this will give him some time to cool down, process everything, and maybe handle things a little different going forward. As I said, this is not meant to be drama. I'm not stating my opinion one way or the other, but I do believe there's a lesson to be learned here. Respect is a two-way street. If you want people to respect you and speak well about you and your company and their experiences, you need to respect them and give them a good experience with your company. You need to make sure people understand the contracts they're signing. You need to make sure things stay as on schedule as possible and not overschedule yourself or the company at large. There is a lot that goes into making content, whether it's third-party tabletop stuff, video games, any company in the world that has a set of delegated tasks to different people throughout the company needs communication. And it seems like the big issue here with Apotheosis was a lack of communication between the heads of the company who understand the contract or are telling their employees one thing versus one of them telling them another. communication between the creative director and their writer to get the schedules scheduled correctly and tell them what to do. Communication between them and their edits so that they get paid what they've invoiced and not what you expect them to be paid because you changed some stuff. Communication to not let your emotions get the better of you when talking to someone who sees you as a friend, but you see as a business deal. If you are going to treat a conversation like a business deal and not a friendly exchange, say that up front. Do not wait until halfway through a conversation to tell them this is not friendship. Miscommunications abound. They're going to happen. But you don't need to keep digging the same hole. The reason I think this is so important and why I'm talking about it is because with Sinclair's library, me and my team are breaking into third-party publication, and freelancers are such a heavy part of that. It is so easy to say, oh, they're just a freelancer. They're not an employee. They're not part of the company. They have no stake in our success or failure. Why should we care about them? Plot twist, they care about you because their work is in your book. So everything they do, their skill, what they can offer is on display in your book. If the book is a flop, their work is a flop. So yeah, they are invested, and they deserve to be treated just as well as an employee. I'm not saying you need to give them a salary. I'm not even commenting on the payment. I'm talking that they are a human being who is working with you, for you, however you want to describe it. Just because they are not salaried with your company doesn't give you the right to treat them like something less. So if you ever find yourself in publication in the future for third party, whether it's for Pathfinder, D&D, Call of Cthulhu, or anything where you have some people you can delegate to, don't act all high and mighty just because you get to delegate a task to them. That doesn't mean you're better at the task they're doing. TLDR, don't be a Shout out to Renaissance Gamers blog, by the way, who sort of gave me my introduction to all of this, at which point I spiderwebbed like that meme with the guy with the conspiracy theory board to assemble all this together. Thank you for watching, y'all. Have a good one.